What's up, Taiwan? I'm Louise with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. As the threat from China increases, Taiwan's Air Force is to practice intercepting Chinese warplanes late at night. John Van Trieste reports.
Until now, midnight takeoffs like this one have not been part of the usual schedule at Taiwan's Air Force bases. But 3 bases, in Hualien, Tainan, and Hsinchu, are set to start regular nighttime drills, practicing so that Taiwan can scramble its jets at any time, in any weather. China regularly sends warplanes into Taiwan's air defense zone. They're reminders of China's claims to Taiwan and its vow to take Taiwan by force if necessary. On average, over 1,000 Chinese warplanes have made these incursions in recent years, forcing Taiwan to send its own planes up to chase them off. People living near Taiwan's Air Force bases have grown used to hearing fighter jets scrambling. But what they aren't used to is hearing takeoffs late at night. Even nighttime flights usually end before 10. People living near one of the bases set to do midnight flights, in Hualien in eastern Taiwan, say it will be an adjustment.
比平来讲可能会紧张，是不是整个我们两岸的局势是不是更加紧张？
会是有点不一样，因为你会觉得半夜会比较吵。那可能有的睡眠比较不好的会比较容易影响到，因为又刚好是在他们这附近嘛。
But it won't be all night every night. The drills will only happen once or twice a month and only last from 11 to 1. The number of bases holding the drills will eventually grow. While it's a small step, military analysts say it's a necessary one, as Chinese warplanes can come at any hour.
凌晨4点都有过来过，那这样子我们要不要起飞应敌？我们一定要起飞应敌。如果没有起飞应敌的话，变成敌人高张度，我们却没有高张度，变成战力不对等。
So the nighttime skies over Taiwan are set to become much more active, with pilots and ground crews both preparing to respond as soon as the alert comes in. Justin Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A Taiwanese government official has compared a Chinese fishing boat that entered restricted waters off the Jinmen Islands to a bandit.
这些渔船是做正当的事情吗？我们好好一个人，假如走在路上，需要把脸蒙起来吗？像那个这个大盗一样的，我觉得我们执法还是应该要。
His words come after an incident in which an unregistered Chinese vessel capsized when trying to flee from Taiwan's Coast Guard, triggering weeks of cross-strait tensions. Veterans Minister Feng Shiguan says he supports the Coast Guard enforcing the law, but adds he thinks both China and Taiwan should avoid using force. The Kuomingtang is taking stock after losing Taiwan's presidential elections earlier this year. The party's chair has proposed a reorganization to sway the country's younger voters. Joy Sung reports.
Fighting to stay relevant, Taiwan's opposition party, the Kuomingtang, or KMT, is changing things up. A big move for the century-old party, whose ties to China have both helped and hurt their political influence over the years. Party chairman Eric Chu has targeted the hardline Huangfu-Xing faction for reform. It's dominated by veterans who largely back unification with China, a direction rejected by most people in Taiwan. Chu's proposal rolls the faction into a broader Veterans Service Committee.
名称还是保留，这些干部扩大服务也都留用，绝对不是消灭黄复兴，而是让我们整个国民党的组织更强大、更经济、更团结。
Though the Huangfu-Xing's views on cross-strait relations clash with public opinion, the faction makes up about a quarter of the KMT, and some of its members are already angry with Chu's plans.
如果跟陈如主席所讲的都没有变动，保留黄复兴，人也留，什么都留，那你定他干什么？白石头打自己脚，看看痛不痛吗？你不是在骗吗？
Besides changes to its veteran base, the party is also looking for new blood, announcing plans to open a KMT Studio, a digital platform aimed at attracting younger supporters. Facing a strong ruling party and a third force party that's proving increasingly popular among the country's youth, the KMT has a tough road ahead if it wants to remain relevant. Patrick Chen and Joyce Tsen for TaiwanPlus.
Cases of rabies in wild animals are on the rise in Pingtung County, raising concerns the disease could spread. There's been an increase in sightings of aggressive Formosan ferret badgers near people's homes. Tests on several captured animals show they were carrying rabies. Vets are now warning of the risks posed to Taiwan's large population of stray dogs. Authorities are also reminding pet owners that yearly shots are required by law for their animals. Taiwan's Labour Minister says a new program to bring in migrant workers from India will start with a small-scale trial. Minister Xu Mingchun says they'll begin with the agriculture and manufacturing sectors. Her announcement comes as Taiwan lawmakers criticize the deal, saying details are unclear. They've also raised concerns about the impact more migrant workers could have on local jobs and public safety. Xu says companies will only be allowed to hire migrant workers if they can't find locals to fill their positions, and any incoming workers will have to have clean criminal records. The deal with India still requires cabinet and legislative approval. It's 5 months since the war between Israel and Hamas broke out, and people in Taipei organized a march in solidarity with Palestinians to the de facto US embassy. Tiffany Wong is there.
Arab's flames will never die.
Arab's flames will never die.
AIT is genocide.
AIT is genocide.
Today, dozens of people are gathered here in front of the de facto American embassy in Taiwan to pay their respects to Aaron Bushnell, an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force who self-immolated in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. just over a week ago. He committed the act of protest against U.S. support of Israel in its war against Hamas, which has left over 30,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip dead. The U.S. is one of Israel's biggest allies and has sent billions of U.S. dollars in aid since the war began. Those here say that makes the U.S. complicit in genocide, as 2 million Palestinians have been squeezed into the southern Gaza Strip, with many facing starvation.
For the U.S. government, they have been long enablers, and actually not even just enablers, they're active actors in funding genocides.
The U.S. has the power to end this, but it's choosing not to for its own economic and political gain against the wishes of its own people. This charade that the U.S. is some beacon of freedom and democracy, like, it's already fully crumbled.
Only a single representative of the group was allowed to approach the de facto embassy and was turned away from placing flowers and a poster. It's been 5 months since war between Israel and Hamas broke out, and Palestinian civilians in the Gaza Strip are on the brink of starvation. Humanitarian aid into Gaza is controlled by Israel, and last week 100 Palestinians were killed while waiting for food aid. Israel denies its forces were involved. Earlier this week, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris called on Hamas to agree to a ceasefire, the top U.S. official to do so. But U.S. President Joe Biden has staunchly reiterated his support for Israel. Now it's clear from the crowds here that people around the world will be watching America's next move. Devin Tai and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Australia and Southeast Asian leaders have urged the calming of tensions in the South China Sea at the end of an ASEAN summit. The call comes in the wake of another confrontation between China and the Philippines in the contested waters. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the dispute is worrying.
I am very concerned, and Australia is concerned, about any unsafe and destabilising behaviour in the South China Sea. It is dangerous, and it creates risks of miscalculation, which can then lead to escalation.
The joint statement by ASEAN also restated concerns over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and called for an immediate and lasting ceasefire.
We have expressed our deep concern about the humanitarian crisis that we see ongoing in Gaza. We remain concerned about that. We want, as we have said on numerous occasions, we want humanitarian assistance to be able to be delivered to the people of Gaza.
A bill that could ban TikTok in the US is gaining momentum among lawmakers there. The bill would allow US intelligence agencies to label foreign social media companies national security threats. If deemed a risk, the apps would be banned. Some US lawmakers fear that China is using TikTok, which is run by China-based ByteDance, to access its users' personal data. US lawmakers say the bill is not targeted at TikTok, and it wouldn't be banned as long as ByteDance divests from the platform.
Folks, this bill is not a ban, and it's really not about TikTok. This bill is a choice, and it's a choice for ByteDance, as well as any other social media app controlled by a foreign adversary.
US presidential hopeful Nikki Haley has dropped out of the Republican primary race. She bowed out after losing to frontrunner Donald Trump in Super Tuesday primary votes.
I am filled with the gratitude for the outpouring of support we've received from all across our great country. But the time has now come to suspend my campaign. I said I wanted Americans to have their voices heard. I have done that.
Haley only won a single state, Vermont, in Tuesday's vote. The rest went to Trump. The results paved the way for another showdown between Trump and current President Joe Biden. While she backed out of the race, Haley did not endorse Trump, saying he has to earn the votes of people who don't support him. Indian authorities have ramped up security in New Delhi as thousands of farmers protesting for higher crop prices resume their march to the capital. New Delhi has been barricaded with barbed wire, sandbags, and riot security. The farmers plan to enter the city via buses and trains. The farmers' protest began last month, but they were stopped by security forces with tear gas and water cannons about 200 kilometers north of the capital. The protest comes just weeks before India's national elections, which will see Prime Minister Narendra Modi try to secure a rare third term in office. Taiwan's waters are home to 5 of the world's 7 species of sea turtle. But every year, human activity forces hundreds of them to beach on the country's shores. Reporter Sandy Chi explains.
Taiwan's many islands were once havens for sea turtles. But now the environment has become toxic with the amount of trash that ends up in the seas. A total of 7 species of sea turtle exist in the world, and the seas around Taiwan are home to 5 of them.
我们从这些救援的海龟身体的里面呢，几乎都会发现到一些海洋垃圾的存在，而这些海洋垃圾有些甚至危及了海龟的生命，造成最后的死亡。
The trash in the ocean is deadly for marine life and also increases the risk of sea turtles becoming beached. The Environment Ministry says that in recent years, more than 300 sea turtles are found washed up every year, most of them already dead. Experts say around 20 to 30% of these deaths can be blamed on humans.
我们都希望就是动物搁浅的数量是越少越好嘛，那越少越好就代表这个海域是越健康，或者这个海域的人为干扰越少。对，但可能现在看起来是有点颠倒，是好像有越来越多的情况嘛，就代表是可能海域的污染变严重了，然后人为的冲突变严重了，这些都是可以从搁浅的数量或者是搁浅物种所告诉我们的一些答案。
To help reverse this trend, the government and civic groups have pooled resources to set up the Marine Animal Rescue Network, which has what it calls the 4 R's: research, rescue, rehabilitation, and release. The organization hopes to provide better and professional rescue efforts for marine wildlife. Local divers have also jumped in to help by removing trash from the sea.
我们每年大概从海里清除了7000吨左右的这个垃圾。这个数字看起来好像不是很大，但是要从陆地上捡起一件垃圾，只要弯个腰就可以达成。同样的一件垃圾要从海底把它打捞上来，那是非常不容易的一件事情。
Cleaning up marine garbage won't save every turtle from becoming beached, but experts believe it will make a significant difference, while also slowing the buildup of plastics in their bodies and giving them the best chance at thriving. Patrick Chen and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Louise Watt. Take care. We'll see you next time.